All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August 31st Board of Selectmen meeting. We're going to open our meeting at 6 o'clock and head into executive session. And then we'll be out at about 7 o'clock. Just give us some grace either way, 5 minutes. And then we'll head into the normal posted agenda for this evening. So with that, I think we're ready for a motion to enter executive session, Seth?
Motion to enter into executive session to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiations regarding upcoming contracts for the Local 379, MCOP, AFL-CIO, United Steelworkers Unit A and Unit B, Union AFS-CME, DPW, and Boyden Library Employee Union.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right.
So my wife works at the library, so I'm just, what should I do about that?
He has to recuse.
Okay.
Just
He can
recuse
still do
myself
the, you can still do the roll call.
Yep, you
but
can still
enter
do the motion,
executive
yep,
session.
and then we'll,
Yep.
yeah, sorry.
So now to enter executive session, we have to do a roll call. We'll go in order that we're seated.
Good.
Yay. Mark, yes.
I mean, no?
No, you can say yes.
Yeah,
You
you
can say yes,
Yeah.
yeah, you can
Seth
say
Ferguson,
yes.
yes.
Yep.
Leah, yes. And does he need to go on the record to recuse himself
He
at
needs to
all?
go on the record to recuse himself, and then he actually has to leave the room.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
so question for you though, just on the library or all of them?
All of it.
Okay.
So,
What if we don't talk about library? But it's all mixed
Yeah.
in, it's all mixed in, yeah.
Okay.
Probably a good idea.
I'm just,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I recuse myself.
okay, so because of the
Discussion.
conflict of interest, Seth will recuse himself and leave the room for executive session. So we'll see everyone in approximately an hour. Thanks, everyone. Be back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry we ran about 15 minutes late, but we are back on track in open session. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Ally, can you lead us in the pledge, please? Yep.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Felt good to see
All right, wonderful.
Felt good to see you.
I'm starting to stick to the
All
chair.
right, so just as a reminder, August 31st, 2021 meeting, we just came out of executive session, and we'll start with citizens input. I know we have someone here, if you'd like to come up to the table, tell us your name. Please.
Hi, I'm Kay Andberg, or Karen Andberg officially. I'm with the Foxborough Rotary Club, and we've already informed the town manager, and you all should have received an email regarding our Peace Day celebration that we are holding on September 19th on the Common from 2 to 4 p.m. And I just wanted to, take any questions that you might have. And part of the celebration is a multicultural event of people sharing their kids' crafts, some music. There's also, we'll be having people sign the Foxborough Peace Pledge and presenting a peace pole, which is something that Rotary clubs do throughout the world that say on them, "May peace prevail on earth," in 8 different languages. So our club also has 2 of these poles on order. One is going to be at the YMCA, and the other we're very interested in having placed in another town location. It'd be wonderful actually in the town hall if, I'm not sure who approves that type of thing, because of course everybody needs a little bit of calmness in their lives. Our hope and understanding is people realize that treating each other with kindness and respect, there'll be more peace in our community. And though Foxborough is such a wonderful place, I've been here all my life, there's unrest in all people, many different walks. And peace comes from the individual heart and the family, the homes, the schools, the neighborhoods, and the community, and then the nation. And so we want peace as possible, one community at a time, and we just want to make sure Foxborough is on board about that. Have any questions?
So this is a little bit different than we normally will end the citizens input here, but we did add this to the agenda later. So I think that we can speak about it since it's listed as an action item on our posted agenda now that we've kind of moved out of the citizens input piece. So since Kay is here, and thank you, Kay, for all the wonderful work that the Rotary Club of Foxborough does. You guys do tremendous work. I've been to some meetings, and it's really, really impressive. So with that, you know, Kay had asked us to sign the pledge, and we wanted to put this on as an action item so that we could, you know, discuss it and agree to it. So if you don't mind, I will just read the peace pledge. It's really quick if anyone hasn't seen it. But this is what we would be taking a motion to agree to sign on to.
And I have additional copies if people need them.
Oh, we have them here
Okay,
too.
great.
Awesome, thanks. And then if you wanted a location in town, I think you could work with Bill to see what's possible there on the
Great,
poll.
thank you.
All right, so the peace pledge that Kay is looking to us as a board to sign on to is, I pledge to work towards peace, peace among persons and peace among nations. Peace as a way of being and peace as a positive perspective for resolving the conflicts that may rise among us. I pledge to think, speak, and act with the goal of understanding, healing, and uniting. I pledge to act with compassion, kindness, and empathy. I pledge to set a peaceful example for my family and others, to be an instrument of peace for the betterment of all. May peace prevail in Foxborough and in the world. So, you know, I certainly have no concerns. I actually think it's a great idea for us to endorse this, and would be looking for a motion for us to sign on to this as a board.
I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen sign on to the proposal as put forth and read by the chairman.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you so much.
great, no, thank you. Thank you so much for coming in, we really appreciate it. And just to remind everyone, it's September 19th, 2021 on the Common, right?
We'll try and reach out to you this week to try and figure out a place to put it. I'm Bill Keegan. Yeah, okay, all right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kay.
Thanks, Kay. So we'll get back on track with our agenda. Is anyone else here for citizens input before we start? I think I recognize everyone here for an item later. Okay. All right, so I think I saw Marissa. Hello, Marissa, welcome back. She's here again for the RODMAN Ride for Kids. Do you mind just kind of walking us through the components of your plan? We have everything that you have here. It looks wonderful to me and exactly what we were looking for.
Sure, yeah, and I'm happy to provide something a little more formal. So just for anyone else that didn't hear what we're doing, the annual Ride for Kids is on Saturday, September 25th. The beer, which is the only alcohol we'll be having, will be arriving on Friday, September 24th, where it will be placed immediately into a refrigerated truck that will be locked. And there will be security overnight into Saturday morning. The beer will then be moved into ice coolers. And the barbecue, I think in my letter I wrote, it starts at 11. The barbecue probably won't start till around 11:30. All the volunteers who will be working that area will be asking for identification for anyone that looks 40 years old or younger. Also, the volunteers that we're gonna have will all be at least 25 years old. They'll all be wearing gloves and masks. These are all volunteers who have worked prior events with us. And any beer that's left over, we're gonna be returning to the donor.
Okay, great. The only question that I had, and Katie, you're there too, right? Paul, if you don't mind bringing up Katie. When we saw this last time, it was 2 one day because the alcohol's coming in on the 24th and 25th. When I'm looking at this application now, and the motion that's out there, it's just for the 25th. I believe this should be for both.
Yeah.
Yep, it should be for the 24th and the 25th. I have that on the license. And she wrote that at the top of the application. It could have been on the event side and not the one day, but yes, it will be for 2 days.
So just Seth, on your motion, you'll need to include September 24th as well. So it's 2 one day.
Okay.
Okay.
Little housekeeping discussion, sorry, Marissa.
So, Madam Chair, just for one question, Marissa, could you, just with regard to the serving, I know that the folks that are going to be serving are going to use, appropriate measures to make sure that there are no underage drinking is occurring, but I would just encourage you to have folks keeping an eye out for people so they don't hand alcohol off to other kids or other people that are maybe underage, so that if
Right,
whatever.
absolutely.
Okay,
You
I'm
know,
sorry?
just with COVID, we're going heavy on our volunteers. We expect half the amount, probably less than half the amount of riders that we normally do.
Okay.
And we'll have the same amount, maybe more volunteers on site.
Very good. Thank you.
You read my mind, Bill. I was going to say best practice at most bars or restaurants would be you only give 2. And where we're only allowed to hand, if someone came to a bar, you're only allowed to hand 2 drinks. I would suggest on something like this where these aren't trained people or tip certified, which, not that we expect them to be, that they're volunteers, but good practice might be just someone comes up with an ID, how you're checking, and one beverage served at a time. Just might be good practice, you know, for your safety as your event, that's all.
Yeah, that makes sense, and we can do that if you would like.
So my only thought around the document, and it's not going to be explicit at this point, but I'm just thinking along the lines of you should be able to reserve the right to, and I don't expect there's going to be people imbibing to excess, but reserve the right to assess a customer or a person who's looking for a beer and decide that maybe they don't need any more, type of thing. Kids, or, you know, especially, obviously not kids, but even adults, you know, free beer,
Right.
thinking out loud, but, so just something to keep in mind, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't believe we've had an issue in the past with this event, but it's a very good point, so, but I don't think we've had an issue with the past, because it's usually a case where people will come and then, you know, have a few drinks afterwards, and then they're on their way, effectively.
Good.
All right, so with that, I think we're ready for a motion, just with that revision as discussed.
Motion to approve 2 one-day beer and wine licenses for RODMAN for Kids event on September 24th and September 25th of 2021.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming back, Marissa, and thanks. It's a great, well-respected event in town, so thank you for all your work on the event.
Thank you all for your time. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Marissa.
All right. Next up, we love anytime Ally's in here to tell us something. So we'll have Veterans Services Director Ally Rodriguez up to the table to tell us about an event she's planning.
Yeah, hi, how we doing? Can you guys hear me? I need to move the mic. We good? No, too much? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, good? Okay, all right. Closer. Better?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we've been doing this every year. I think this year is 10 years. I think, because
Yes.
COVID just put a damper on everything, so I lost track. But 10 years, the town of Foxborough has been holding the POW MIA Vigil on the Common. Last year, we didn't have as many volunteers, but we still were able to maintain a 24-hour vigil. It is the same thing again this year. Chief Grace is going to let us borrow a vehicle with the blue lights on because it gets so dark there at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I definitely appreciate the vehicle. We will have volunteers. There will be some hot water and instant coffee and tea and maybe some cookies because, you know, I get the munchies at midnight, so I'm sure everybody else does too. And that's it. I'm working on getting a bagpiper. I'm working on getting a guest speaker. Actually, since it's 10 years, I would love to have Johnny Mitchell come back because this was his Eagle Scout project, I believe. But I don't have his number, so if anybody happens to know Johnny Mitchell's number, tell him I'm looking for him. But other than that, the Patriot Riders, the Sharon Patriot Riders will be here. They generally pull the overnight shift. And that's it. It's just a great event. It's, you know, it's to honor those who did not have, who weren't lucky enough to come home.
Yeah, and it's a great event to attend. You can come up for 5 minutes, an hour.
Yeah,
take a
we
shift.
welcome it. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and just hang out.
yeah, and hopefully next year we have electricity on the Common.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even think about
maybe
that.
this
Yeah.
is our
The
last
project
year
is
of
underway.
darkness.
That project is underway.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Johnny's Chris's son, isn't it?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you must have Chris.
Maybe.
Your
maybe I have his.
Cell phone directory.
Yeah.
I'll put you in touch
Yeah,
with him.
we can figure it out.
Yeah, so I would love if he could, because I mean, 10 years, like that's
Absolutely.
big.
I bet he'd
So,
love to come back and do
yeah,
it.
hopefully, knock on wood. So somebody tell him I'm looking for him. Any other questions?
No, thanks for all your great work that you put into the event.
Yeah, of course, it's my pleasure.
All right.
Okay, you guys have a great evening.
Thank you, Ally.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thanks, Sally.
All right, next up, we have two gentlemen from the Knights of Columbus here. If you gentlemen don't mind coming up, we're going to talk about one of everyone's favorite events, the Tootsie Roll Drive. So if you don't mind just coming up, tell us your names, and then just tell us a little bit about your event.
Absolutely. My name is Greg Bactinell, and Sean White here with the Foxborough Sharon Knights of Columbus. We're looking to do our annual Tootsie Roll Drive, and basically that's going to be the Saturday morning of Columbus Day weekend from 8 to about 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're looking to get volunteers. We will provide volunteers to solicit donations for the mentally and physically disabled children and adults. 100% of the proceeds goes to that. We actually pay money out of our funds, the Knights of Columbus funds, for the event itself. But yeah, we're just going to get up to probably 20 to 25 volunteers, if we can get that many volunteers. We're going to have all the PPE required, gloves, masks, everything else. So we're just, last year, I don't think we did it last year, so we're looking to get back on track. And it's our biggest fundraising event, so this is really critical for the Knights of Columbus to get back on track with this event. Questions?
I think everyone was just a little skittish last year with COVID, but I think we're in a much better place. We all know the drill now. You know, just be respectful of people.
Absolutely.
You know, don't want to put down their window, but I think everyone is excited to have this back, because I don't think it was quite the same in St. Mary's parking lot, right? Did you guys do it over there last year?
Yeah. We're still able to raise a good amount of money
good.
for the projects, but
Right.
Not quite the same.
yeah,
no.
no.
Yeah, and show them Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls. And then Tootsie Rolls themselves donate these every year, and they have a special message inside as well, if you open it up and read it.
So I'm not trying to make anybody look bad, but is it okay to make a donation right now? You all accept donations right now?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll give you one right now. Thank you. If anybody else wants to do it, if anybody wants a Tootsie Roll, you can have a
No
Tootsie
one's
Roll.
ever seen the message because you eat the Tootsie Roll so
I know,
quick.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Keegan.
What does the message on the Tootsie Roll say?
Thank you.
It explains the project.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you guys can have one. Pass them around.
Thank you.
Pass them around.
So really appreciate everyone's support towards this, and so we're just looking to do this. And again, this is for Saturday morning. I think it's October 9th from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 1 p.m. So.
All right, great.
And I guess one question we had, we always do, with the change of the Rotary, is there any locations that are different than normal? We usually do School Street, South Street, Cookasset, and Mechanic.
I think we're all fine, business as usual. Might even be a little safer.
Yeah, because at least the one on Main
Honestly
Street.
now, yeah, there's more of an island for you guys to stand
Sure.
on, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, you know, let us know any feedback too while you're out there. Hanging in
Absolutely.
the Rotary for a while, but, yeah, I think, you know, we have three good feel-good events right in a row.
I know.
From the
Well, it's also
community.
a different time now, too. I mean, even though COVID has raised its head a little bit, people are vaccinated, and I think we're just so much more aware of,
Sure.
you know, how to keep people safe, and most importantly, how to keep you and your volunteers safe, you know?
Right.
I want to make a donation, too.
Oh, thank you so much.
And could I just personally also just say, as a mom of a child who is, thank you so much, who is mentally disabled.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for what you guys are doing. It's great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All I got is 20, so I don't.
All right, so we do need a motion on this one, and we have a vote just
Get
to
the last
formally
one.
approve you, gentlemen.
Motion to approve the
Thank you.
Foxborough Knights of Columbus Annual Tootsie Roll
Actually,
Drive
actually,
on
a former
October
knight
9th,
anyway, so,
2021,
yeah. I
from
still
8
think- I still
a.m.
think-
to 1 p.m. around the town common entrances.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
See you on the
Good
night
luck.
on the common.
Yep. guys still have the best life insurance, by the way.
All right, the next one is a conservation land transfer. So this is to discuss and vote a land transfer on parcel 1 on map 58 from Michael Trowbridge to the town of Foxborough. And not to steal Bill's thunder, but this is the infamous Zero Twilight
Land.
from last year's citizens
year, that's
petition
right,
town meeting, just to connect the dots for everyone.
So that's exactly right. So this was something that, this is one of these things where it makes sense really for us to take, because it actually abuts existing conservation land, and that it's a small piece, and the amount of money that we would normally collect on this is pretty small to begin with. As you can see, the amount that we transferred back to the individual who was paying taxes on it was relatively small it was an extended period of time. I think it was like over 10 years. So, but what's happened is that Mr. Trowbridge doesn't really have any use for the parcel. It doesn't do anything for him. The most logical use, we looked at all of our departments. We say, does anybody else have a need for this? And they said, no, it really just belongs in conservation. Let them have it. It's a small piece. Let's just clean it up and then take it off the books. And that way we don't have to run into that issue again with somebody who's, being taxed on it that shouldn't be taxed on it. But we've already made that correction, but this will take care of it once and for all.
And just to further clarify for the board, so back when this all happened, I think it was a piece of a bigger parcel that was
Exactly.
donated to the town. And this piece was kind of missed and has kind of been homeless for a number of years. So it's kind of cleanup on what was intended to be donated.
Exactly.
Kind of the last piece of cleanup from that piece that was a town meeting, so. We have a letter from Jane Pierce, who, from what I watched Conservation and she was going out to see it. I talked to Bill, and Mike and I actually didn't ask her last night when we saw her, but I do believe she went out there and
did.
saw it.
She did.
And does agree with this.
Right.
So to me, this looks pretty straightforward. Any questions from the board? No? Okay.
And the email is actually in your
Yep.
document as well.
Motion to accept a land transfer of parcel number 1 on map 58 from Michael Trowbridge to the town of Foxborough.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Just thank you, Mr. Trowbridge.
Yes, and we have our new assessor. I told Bill,
Yeah.
the new assessor needs to look out for a tax bill on Zero Twilight, because Ms. Cuniff did get one more after town meeting, so we need to make sure that is on this new person's radar to look out for.
It's the way the cycle,
Yes,
yeah, that
okay.
was resolved.
Let's
yeah.
make sure another one doesn't go out. All right.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. We are
Cruising along.
cruising right along, making up time.
Catching up.
Yeah. All right, so the next one is kind of a different one. I said, I don't think I've seen this in my term, Doc. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a mitigation agreement for a digital billboard that is at 91 Washington Street, so on Route 1. So Bill, if you can tell us a little bit about this and why it's here and what it is.
So this is a billboard. There was a bylaw that was passed by the town a couple of years ago where, and this is the first of those donations or billboards that have actually been erected since that time. This one is located on Route 1. It's actually put together by LAMAR. Is it LAMAR?
LAMAR
It's
Advertising,
LAMAR,
Mr. Robbins.
LAMAR Advertising. And at the time, back in 2019, we actually met with myself, Nick Riccio, myself, and the representative from Lamar, and we had, developed an agreement. We had looked around at what the other agreements were like, and we all thought that the number of 12,500 was pretty consistent with what we'd seen for other agreements. So lo and behold, COVID hit, or there was a few changes in the organization, and as a result, Nick left shortly after that. So what happened was that the agreement never got finalized and didn't get sent to me apparently, and so I never saw it. So as a result, somebody else asked me about it the other day. I said, geez, I never saw that agreement. I called the gentleman. He says, yeah, we have it right here. We were going to finalize it, and whatever, it fell through the cracks. Then COVID hit. It was all, and the rest is history. So, but he said, we're fully prepared to honor it. And he says, going retroactive to that time frame. So, but the town has to sign off on it and approve it. Leah had indicated to me that, there is no provision for a CPI increase in it, which I'm happy to discuss with them to see if in fact that's, and also look back and see if that's something that's consistent with other agreements as well. So effectively, it's $12,500 per side, and $25,000 for a full board, but this is only a one-sided electronic billboard. Okay.
And there also is some, we have, I think it's 6 hours a month, if I'm remembering right, that we can
Yes.
put community messaging up. So, we actually took advantage of that during the shop local last year, so that's something we should think about, Christina, as we develop the communication plan, that we have this
that.
free advertising time, and we worked with the agency. They helped us build it, lay it out. They were great to work with, and they,
Right.
you know, whipped it right up on the billboard. It was kind of
Right.
cool to see it up there, so that's something we should also, you know, just remember is out there and another means to communicate with citizens. So, you know, 17 years, that my only gut reaction was like, why 17? That's so random. Why wouldn't it escalate maybe every 5 years, even if it's not every year? I feel like there has to be something to the story. My only thing, am I comfortable with signing something that goes for that amount of time without any escalation clause?
So this is, as I indicated to Leah, this is not on town land, it's on private land. And mitigation agreements sort of came along with the change in the bylaw to get electronic billboards in place. So that was part of the deal at the time. So this is sort of our first shot at this. So I think to the extent that I certainly can raise that issue, if anybody else has any other thoughts, happy to do it, but I don't expect that we would be getting a significant amount more than this, because this seems to be consistent with what we've seen.
Or even think if it was 10 years, I don't know. Again, I have no real comp to base this on. This is just my gut reaction.
My only thought on the 17 is that it may take that amount of time to amortize the cost of building the billboard itself.
And can we ask the question? I mean, I think maybe we support it as long as Bill vets that out.
Yeah.
Doc, you have any thoughts or questions?
No, because this is the first time,
Yeah.
you know, I've ever seen anything like this
Yeah.
either. You know, I found the 17 kind of funny. I'd be curious, just out of curiosity, you know, why 17? But now that Bill mentioned amortization, yeah, that sounds probably right. And
But I would think a digital billboard would 17 years seems like a long time for a digital billboard, but I mean, again, I really have no digital billboard experience.
no, still. But we could, you know, tentatively approve it pending some answers for a couple of questions, you know,
Yeah.
and let Bill sign off on it.
It's really as arbitrary as any other number. 10 years is like a standard
Right,
contract length,
right.
but at the same time, why is 10 years any different
Right.
than 27 and a half
Right.
years? Or
And we don't, I mean, really, this is something the town manager can act on. Like, we don't even really have to vote or weigh in on this, if I'm looking at it
I just
correctly.
want, it's full disclosure to you
Yeah.
all, so just so you
Like,
know,
he could have
it's-
not
it's
even
rather-
brought this to us. It's just, you know, looking for a support reaction to it, because I think it's something different.
Well, I had exactly the same two things pop in my head, the number, and then I thought about the escalation as well, 'cause, I mean, just everything goes up, you know, and what they charge for advertisement is not gonna be the same probably today as it is gonna be 5 years from
17
now,
years
10
from
years
now.
from now. Yeah, but I mean, how do you determine what that number would be to escalate? Or, you know, do you say,
Could be
okay, here's the
CPI.
contract, and, you know, can we just meet in 5 years and just discuss it? I mean, who knows, maybe we'll find out that that number is a
Maybe
good number.
digital billboards
you
won't even be around in 17 years. There'll be some 3D,
Yeah.
and it's good for us.
Means we won't get a check for $12,500.
Right?
Right.
Oh, that's right, we could say, we have you locked into a
Right,
contract
like
for
a
17 years.
VHS, and they're still paying us,
I
you know?
understand the concept of mitigation, I'm a little fuzzy on, so I'm just, do you understand that
So-
conceptually?
Yeah.
So just so you know, there is another company that's interested in looking at this right now at a different location on Route 1. So we may see another one of these fairly soon. So this is like a first run at this, but I'm happy to have the conversation with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
get a couple of questions answered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had a question on mitigation?
I just
What
don't,
mitigation?
the concept of it, I'm not real clear on, frankly.
Is a payment to make it, you know, work and make it worthwhile, you know, really, for,
So as an example, there was mitigation when the casino went in,
Yeah.
and the neighboring towns got money when the casino went in. Wasn't there mitigation when the apartment complex behind
Hanover,
99
yeah.
went in? That they'd repave the road and give the town a couple of
It's
hundred
a sort of an
thousand.
impact. The reason why the impact fee in this case is because it's electronic. which is a different impact than just a stagnant
Static.
board. So theoretically, the message can change a lot more, and there's more advertisement opportunity.
Is it compensation for a cost incurred?
For allowing them to use that as an electronic billboard.
But there's no cost to the town for that, like, it's
No,
just
but
kind of a.
it could be viewed as some by, just an impact fee, because you're seeing that, this large TV screen on Route 1 there.
Right, so like the casino was, maybe more police details would have to be in that area. With the 99, it was, that road was pretty beat up.
But this is just might be that, it's probably, it would be personal preference. For me to see, I guess I wouldn't want to see a billboard
trees.
every 25 yards up there, but,
Right.
I mean,
Well, you
personal
can't do that
preference. So,
anyways. Yeah, there is limits to that,
somebody
so.
might feel like it's not that appealing to
okay.
look at,
Fair.
in town, so I guess maybe the mitigation is, okay, we'll let you do it and we'll have $12,500 to spend on
Yeah.
something else
Right.
in the town or the budget, something else.
Yeah, if that's the case.
Put
I
it
could
to,
live
I
with.
guess, I know what you were saying, like, what's the actual
Yeah.
mitigation?
Yeah.
What,
That's
yeah.
helpful, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Steph.
So I think we're good as long, Bill, if you can ask a couple more questions.
Will do.
Just for future knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like see some comps on not only the amount, but the length of term, and any escalation. I know I just went to straight Google, which isn't, I don't know how, I'm sure Bill can come up with something better.
I'll look at a few other
Yeah,
sources for that.
yeah. So do we want to take a vote on that, or just save that for an action item at a further meeting when it's ready?
Yeah, you've given me the direction on this.
I'd say let's just save it.
Yeah.
Let's just not lose sight of it. But now we talked about it, maybe if anyone on the
I'll
board.
report back to it on the next.
Yeah, and if
the next
anyone on the
meeting.
board wants to look back and try to, figure out the details of the mitigation, or if you talk to someone that remembers the details back then. maybe
Yeah, if
that's-
anybody on the board wants to talk to me further about that.
Okay. All right, are we ready? I think we're ready to move on to the next one, item 8. So we're going to be opening the special town meeting warrant tonight. We're not going to get into the details of the warrant. That will come at a subsequent meeting, but we're here just for the technicality to open the warrant. And again, for everyone, I know, we had previously talked about November 8th, but it will be November 15th, 2021.
Right.
And I have no reason to believe it would be anything other than business as usual, 7:30, high school.
Right. So just a couple of points. I would ask that the board open the town meeting warrant until the 2 weeks out, which would be or the 13th or 14th.
We're meeting on the
Is it-
14th.
Yes,
Is it
we are the
the
14th, I
14th,
think,
okay.
and then they have the option to close it at that meeting or extend it
If necessary, if there's anything else. Yeah, I think we want to be careful that we just don't want to leave it wide open, because then you can end up with a lot of stuff that, you may not want to deal with at that point in time either. So 2 weeks is normal, but if there is circumstances, which I may have to come back to too, because one of the things that George had spoken to me about, so thank you for sort of pointing that out to me, Christina, because there was, George and Marie said that the only thing they're worried about is if we have to spend any free cash, we have to wait for a certificate, to be certified in order to do that, and it may not be within that time frame. So we may have to look at that at some point. I'm hoping it'll be done, because typically we get it done, they're almost ready to submit. They'll be ready to do that. And then we're along that line, we're try not to use very much free cash. We'd like to use some of the federal funds to do things as opposed to free cash to pay some of the things that we need. So that our goal is trying to minimize that to the greatest extent possible.
And I don't think we need an end date or a close date now. We can just take the motion as it is
Right.
in board docs, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
That's for information purposes only. I wouldn't put it in the
Okay.
motion at this point.
And right now, how many articles are we looking at approximately? Still hovering around 10 to 13?
Has anything changed?
number. No, nothing's changed.
Okay.
Katie?
Hey, Katie, what number are we at latest?
13.
13, okay.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, thank you.
All right, so any other comments before we take a motion? All right.
Motion to open the special town meeting warrant for the November 15th, 2021 special town meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, we are right back on time. How about that? Next up is Mike with the Assistant Town Manager's update.
Okay, great. One thing I wanted to update you on is that I will be bringing 3 things to the Personnel Board in September, and that's, that meeting will be September 14th at 5:30. That's a Tuesday night. And later this evening, you'll be voting on adopting 1 new member onto the Personnel Board because we have a vacancy. The 3 things that are going to be discussed at that Personnel Board, they're going to discuss minutes, of course, but then an employee evaluation policy. So to clarify, all of our union and non-union employees have evaluations, and so this policy is really, it's more guidance on how the policy system is used. So it's not changing any of the standards of those evaluations. It's really some training, some guidance on, and some of the purpose behind why we evaluate all our employees. So that's the first item. The next one is a remote meeting participation. Just want to discuss with the Personnel Board that the Board of Selectmen did recently adopt the state's remote participation policy, and we're in hopes that coming out of COVID, that the state will adopt something a little more like what we've come used to in the last year and a half. In other words, the remote policy that the legislature allows is rather restrictive, but we wanted to have something in place. So I'm going to talk with the Personnel Board about that, just make them aware. And then the last thing is the electronic and computer use policy that we have is about 16 years old, and of course, standards have changed, as have the equipment and the procedures. So we wrote a new policy. We're going to bring that to the Personnel Board, and then after that meeting, we'll bring all of those back to you to vote on.
Yeah, and we'll just have to make sure that the new member is also sworn in between now and then. I didn't realize there's a meeting coming up that quick. So just, since he's new, anything you can send ahead of time in advance too, just as soon as possible, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get that too.
Okay, awesome. All right, anything else?
The only last thing I had is that we did recently hire, well, let me back up. So Sarah Ackerman, who you had in front of you when doing Bill's evaluation, she was our human resources specialist. She's accepted as a new position, as I think I mentioned at a recent meeting, as the HR manager for the Norfolk County DA's office. So this was a nice promotion for her. And Bill and I recently concluded a couple cycles of interviews and have hired someone who's going to be starting on September 13th. Her name is Catherine Levesque. She comes to us with about 6 years of HR generalist experience, and we're very excited to bring her on board. And she'll be working very closely with myself, Bill, the team in administration, but also our benefits administrator and payroll administrator. So we're excited to bring her on board, and you'll get to meet her, if not before Bill's next evaluation, if not then, sometime
sooner than
before.
that, yeah.
Yeah, probably sometime sooner. So, and that's all I have for this evening.
Awesome, that's great news. Great. All right.
Okay, so just a few things to cover with you tonight. I did have a conversation with the town's current trash disposal company, which he doesn't really, the town is contracted with them for, they pick up the town's trash and the school's trash, but they do not, they're sort of like a preferred vendor, if you will, but we don't actually pay them for services for the town, rendered to the residents. And I spoke with them because they've actually gone through a series of transitions. Most people remember it started out as dually trash collection and recycling. Then went to UMM, was United Management, I believe. They went, and then UMM actually got bought up by Wheeler Brader. And Wheeler Brader got acquired by a company called, or reformed itself into a company called WIN, when recycling and trash services. So it's actually four evolutions of where the company is. We have made contact with the regional manager for that, who used to be the local manager here for Dooley. So I do have a relationship with them already. He indicated to me that we do have a local person who's going to reach out to the office, and so we're going to set up a meeting with him directly so we can make sure that because we get several calls that happen throughout the week to the office, and we want to make sure that we're giving people the right connection and information when they call us for that service. I did mention to him that we are looking at this service and whether or not it makes sense to continue on the track that we're on. And so I think it would probably make sense if we had a little bit of a working group to understand this, so that we can go back and then report back to the board about what our findings are. I think you'll find that the market itself is becoming more consolidated. It's not expanding, it's consolidating. And as a result, we're going to see fewer and fewer opportunities to deal with companies. Wynn, as I understand it, is a bigger company, but there are a number of small trash collection companies that do a lot of dumpster disposal, but not necessarily residential disposal. So the residential business is actually is starting to shrink, and so it's been in a process of consolidation for a number of years, but it's really starting to shrink at this point. So I do think we want to, and I'll refer back to you, Madam Chair, with some recommendations and thoughts about, and we can maybe reach out and grab some folks to serve in a mini working group about that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Jeff's here tonight. I don't know if that could, makes it in, that we're looking to form a subcommittee. Maybe, you never know who we have in the community who has some kind of, experience or passion about the topic. Maybe Christina can make a post. Anyone passionate about trash?
He's the one that,
right?
Well, Larry Owie.
Don't forget Larry.
And, as much as I know we don't own the process, but just feedback from residents, like, hearing how it went from quarterly billing to monthly, and,
just identifying the problems and concerns.
Yeah. So I
really
think it's natural that with that much, merger and acquisition, the customers kind of feel it. And I think we're looking to come now as like the people and say, hey, I know this isn't ours, but we're looking on behalf of our constituents because, prices are going up, services going down. What can we do?
And we want to increase the communication and understanding of how the company has evolved. So it's a different company of what people originally signed on with. So I think it's really important that we sort of get that message out.
Yeah.
So.
And even, updating what's out on the website for who to contact. Like, I didn't realize, I think until you get your bill, you don't realize the win part. And, it's always kind of someone else recently, since there's so much going on.
So the wind part was really brand new to me. I think that's relatively new within the past few weeks.
So would probably, would probably want to firm up the subcommittee, I would think, within the month of September.
Right.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in joining that subcommittee to look at, the process for the town is what we have, right? How can we improve it? I think they can reach out to Bill's office and let them know they're interested.
I prefer to get that input from the public, and so we can understand what the issues are. So we're not just sort of, this isn't a top-down effect. I'd rather have the understanding of what people's concerns are here. All right. And then the second one I had was the updated American Rescue Plan. We did have the word out about the fact that we had a meeting with Norfolk County just past week, and I thought the meeting went pretty well. They explained how the process is going to roll out. During the month of September, we're going to have a development of a portal that will allow us to make requests for the funding, and then also to which Norfolk County, working with Bristol County and Plymouth County, will be set up to, it's sort of like the auditing firm, along with, they're using several actual auditing firms to do this work, which will evaluate to determine, one, is the request fall within the federal guidelines for spending the money. The second one is to make sure the funding is fully accounted for, so that there isn't any slippage as to where the money is going. And then third is to make sure there's a legal interpretation, so that there is legal evaluation of each request. So those three levels of evaluation will occur at the county level, all within about a week's time, because I wanted to be clear about the fact this was supposed to happen relatively short time frame. they're creating a portal that will allow us to make that happen, and then we'll be able to then make requests for the use of that money. So I do think at some point, I know some communities have done this already, some communities have just opted to use the entire allotment towards like a major water project or a sewer project or whatever the case may be. You know, we've already done a lot of our water work, so we don't really need to do that at this point, but I think there's probably some stormwater work that we need to do, and that's probably a good time to have that conversation. But there may be other things as well. And I also think we have to have a good conversation about the use of the money for maybe paying down, making an OPEB payment as well. So that would be actually helpful for this year, because we only took in about $500,000, which we'd like to make at least about a $1.1 million contribution. And I don't want to impact free cash that way, because that would put us in a difficult bind. So I think we want to be in a position where we can maybe, if we can get that interpretation, that would be my recommendation back to all of you and to the town, is we use it in that way. That actually limits the amount of transactions that occur as well. We only have maybe one major transaction and then maybe a couple more later on. But we have a couple years to spend the money, so it's not like this is imminent and we have to do it right away. But I do think, given the fact that this was a difficult year financially, or the impact on COVID that limited our revenue stream, that we should have some flexibility to use the funds that will help offset some of that impact. So we're exploring that part of it, and as soon as we know more, we'll keep you all fully apprised on where we are with that. And then last but not least, we do have for you a use of town property policy, which is something we've never really had, and something that we like to borrow things from other places, or actually steal them in some cases. But this is a policy which we adopted for Foxborough that's consistent with Foxborough's use of the common and other places. It's not just the use of the common, it's actually use of other town properties for public events and people that maybe want to rent space, corporate rental of space, public space. This addresses all of that in this policy. So I encourage the board to look at it, provide us your feedback on it. If you want to take action on it at the next meeting, we've already done the internal reviews with town council, et cetera. So if you have any further thoughts on it, we're happy to take that, and then we can act on it at your wish to at the next meeting, next board's meeting. All right. I just returned from a 3-day meeting with the Maya Board of Directors on the Cape, and it was very interesting, because we dealt a lot with the new Police Reform Act and how that's going to impact insurance. We looked at a lot of evaluating health insurance on a broader scale, because what's happened is we all know that health insurance was not really significantly negatively impacted during the past few years, but now what's happening is that we're seeing the claims start to tick up again. And right now, and we just talked with the medical director for Blue Cross Blue Shield over the weekend, and she indicated that the claims are now almost the same level they were pre-COVID. So, which in some ways that's good news, because they're not actually spiking beyond that level, but they're getting back to that level again. So we're going to start to see, the impact of that. But the Maya board actually thought about that at length during the time we set rates this past year, and we actually raised our rates, minimally. What was like 2 to 3%, whereas a number of the group purchase groups did not raise their rates at all, which I think they're going to be impacted by that negatively going forward, because they didn't think about what's going to happen on the other side. So right now we're in a pretty good position to not severely impact the rates, but if our rates continue to if our utilization continues to climb, it could be an issue for us down the road. So those are my updates for tonight. If anybody has any questions, we're happy to take them.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, the meeting the 3-day meeting, who was that with?
It was with the Maya Board of Directors.
Maya.
So Maya is the oversight. They're actually a subsidiary of the MMA, the Mass Municipal Association.
Okay.
And they insure over 300 cities and towns in Massachusetts in some way, shape, or form. And so It's run entirely by the Maya Board of Directors, is made up of town officials from across the state. There's probably, there's about 10 of us that serve in that board of directors. It includes selectmen, includes town managers, and we meet periodically to go over how the program's running, and we're actually in the process right now of looking at the possibility of creating a new unemployment insurance program, which will actually help all the cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth as well to save money. So it's built for municipalities, and it's reflective of the type of work that we do and the type of coverage we need.
So what is the impact of your participation, and what is the outcome of the meeting side?
Yeah, sure. So what I do is I serve as a member of the board of directors. They've asked me to serve because I've been involved in, I've actually served on previous boards of directors for a regional purchase group for health insurance when I worked in Dedham, so I had some good experience in that area.
Yep.
And then also I've been involved in doing insurance for cities and towns for 30-something years. So they've asked me to serve in that capacity because they know I'm probably one of the more senior managers in the state to help provide that perspective, and it's actually proved helpful. And it also helps us because, if I need something, I can call somebody and they help us. We get immediate response because we have that connection already established. So it is very helpful.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, and just to tie into our first item on Selectmen's update, the new online application for town common use. When we were talking about the policy, Katie had mentioned that we will be going online for applications for that. So just to let the board know, it was news to me, so I just wanted,
Thank you.
to let you guys know that, before people were filling out a paper form, like the Rotary Club that wanted to use the Common, for example, they'll now be submitting that online. So this doesn't impact like your ongoing stuff like soccer or baseball or the recreation field like this. This is more of like your events. And we really didn't have a policy in writing about who we let use those properties, the alcohol we've talked about before, just a number of different things that there was really, really no policy. So creating one and having it formalized.
Which left us with a lot of question marks as to what should we do here in this situation. So
Yeah.
this is really helpful.
So we had one come to us that wasn't, or not to us, but it came about, it didn't end up happening, but it was kind of outside of the realm of what it would normally be, that just kind of forced us to take a look at having a policy.
So Madam Chair, just to clarify, so the policy is ready for your review. The online portal, that may be still a few weeks away before.
Right. No ETA on that, just knowing that it's coming. It was news to me that it's coming, but it's not by no means ready.
Right.
So not to go deep on it, but do we often charge groups, private groups, to use, public land, or because there's a mention of like charging fees?
Right. So this would be for a private company to use the land. So civic for nonprofits, the answer is no.
Right.
All right. But for a profitable company, that's a policy question for the board to consider. For instance, if you want to do that, we can do that. A lot of communities will do that. It's like a private rental of space is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so apparently there's not a lot of precedent for that. There's no mention of rates, specific or explicit rates in the document. It just says, we reserve the right basically to charge. But if it doesn't happen, or it happens infrequently or never, then it's still worth a conversation.
The rates could be an addendum to the policy, because the rates could change from.
Just like I know from being on the PTO, like the school has a similar policy and then a similar rate schedule if you wanted to come in and have Seth's book club, and use the cafeteria or something outside of hours.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
Well, it's good to have policies. I think 3 or 4 years ago, there was a soccer tournament up at the Ahern, and they were charging people to come in to park their car.
Right.
And so this is very clear. So when someone, I'm sure, I don't even know, so this policy didn't exist before, in writing.
In
So-
writing. It
So
was
if
a lot of,
somebody,
here's what we've done.
Well, and that's the thing, I think all of a sudden it lit up on Facebook, people wanted to go park and walk on the track, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't let them to pull in unless they paid, and, people started saying, wait a minute, like the town owns the property, I can't even pull in to go walk the track.
Right, I was
So-
surprised when that happened
Yeah.
myself, and I was like, okay, what do we do now? There's no policy anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly, so this is very clear, so if someone is going to use the property, they'll see the rules and they'll know. I'm sure the people running the soccer tournament didn't know, they probably figured this is a
Right.
way to, I mean, they're running the tournament to earn some money for their program, it's
Exactly.
a type of fundraiser, and so they probably figured, hey, we could, charge cars to
I
park.
don't,
and
you know, I didn't even remember that, but you're right. I
It was the
remember that
first thing when
situation.
I saw about not charging money, it popped in my
It
head.
happened about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, there was a woman, she went on Facebook and she said, I wanted to go up and walk on the track at the Ahern, and I wasn't even allowed to pull in because there was somebody on both entrances charging $10 to pull in, and I was like, so, yeah, but now everything's, it's good always to have something in writing, because then it's very, very clear what the intent is.
Makes it
when you
easier.
let somebody use a piece of
It creates
town-owned
consistency
land.
too, which is
Yeah.
important.
So that's something that I'll just take as an addendum to fees. We should think about that.
Right.
I mean, I'm okay with this policy and moving on it, but we're also not in a rush if we want to think about it and take it as an action item next meeting. And then just another thing we had talked about, like some events were coming to us and some Bill was approving, and the rule of thumb that we agreed on going forward was anything that's happened before, Bill can approve. So like Ally's event on the Common, that's gonna happen in a couple weeks. We don't need to approve that. She came to tell us about it, but Bill can approve that use of the Common. Unless it's something, an event we haven't seen before, or, something that he wants us to weigh in on. For all those applications that are, run-of-the-mill events we see every year,
Right.
he's gonna approve those,
Unless there's some unique twist that we didn't see before.
right. But I'm thinking JC's concerts on the Common, the Farmers Market.
Right.
You can
That's all
approve those,
standard.
they can come in and tell us and the public about them, but we don't need to, act on them and have them wait till our next meeting and all that, so.
A vote's not required, but you can actually, sometimes it makes good sense to give the public exposure
Right.
of the event, so that, to have them come in, talk about it, so that everybody's aware that people watch it and they see it and they can go to the event.
Exactly.
Well, something like the JC's concerts on the Common, didn't they come before us?
But they
though?
won't, that's what I was saying, is
Oh.
some stuff was, that would come before us, so the POW one was on our agenda when I got the draft.
Yeah.
But then the Rotary Club, Bill just approved, so we just talked about, that's what I'm letting the board know is our, rule of thumb going forward, what it will be. I think Katie had something.
Katie?
And the only thing that will 100% always go to the board will be a use of public way. So like a road race, anything that's using the streets will have to go in front of the board.
Because the board is technically the road commissioners.
Yes, more, I was talking more like an event on the Common,
Right.
All right, then the other thing, everyone on the board was at our site visit to 119 Moore Street last night. We were there for about a half an hour. We had a couple members of the public that also showed up. We went out, we walked the land, we looked at the maps, we saw where things would be. We didn't want to put it on the agenda for tonight in case people had questions. We just felt it was a little bit too soon after the walkthrough, so we will be discussing that on our September 14th meeting next. Any other items for Selectmen's update? No? Okay.
Really just one of the invitation we got from the Lions Club.
Oh, yes.
Maybe mention that.
Yeah, and we got one from the YMCA too, or at
Yep.
least I did. Did you guys get this one too?
Yep.
So we did get 2 invitations, just to kind of give them some PR too. I know I've seen it around, but the Foxborough Lions are having an event at the Renaissance on Friday, September 17th. It looks like it's dinner and entertainment and dancing. And then the Hockomock YMCA is having their annual Reach Out for Youth annual breakfast campaign. This one I can speak to a little bit more because I'm a little more familiar with, but I think it's the replacement of what used to be the St. Patrick's Day breakfast. So that is out right now too, Thursday, September 30th, at the normal 7:30 start time, so.
The one that was moved from 17th to now, March 17th to now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't specifically heard if they're moving it permanently, but this is what the event used to be on March 17th. It didn't happen in person last year due to COVID. I understand that it still happened virtually, although I don't think I was able to make it.
Yeah, and the Lions just is their 90th anniversary.
90th, yes.
Yeah, so it's their 90th anniversary gala, and
Sorry,
Tom,
that's on the other side.
yeah, and Tom Barry is the contact person for that.
Yes,
Anybody
and their
wants to
email is
know.
foxboroughlionsclub@gmail.com. It's easy to remember.
Madam Chair, there's one other thing I wanted to mention, that we worked through the CO, the temporary CO process for the borough school, and the school is ready to be opened. There are some things that we still have to finalize, but the school will be ready for open and for available for school.
Yes, I've seen some teachers were able to get into their classrooms. That was getting down to the wire, but it
Down
looks
to
like
the
it's
wire.
good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, driving by it on the way back from Moore Street, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
I'll never end up down at that end of town,
Right.
and really did a phenomenal job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, just to throw in for the Lions, I'm not sure if anybody here has ever seen this Mike Dutra, who is going to,
Oh, he's good.
to be here.
Yeah, he's good.
We actually hired him for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary.
really?
Yeah, and,
Frank Sinatra
because
guy.
their song is a Frank Sinatra song, but I will tell you, so you've seen him.
I've seen him several times, yeah, he's very
So
good.
he's phenomenal, and if you closed your eyes, you would think you were listening.
Yeah,
to
that's right,
Frank.
no, he's right, he's very good.
You know, so, I mean, this, for me, just seeing this, like, $60 per person this would be a great night, you know,
And
just so that people know.
that one's, he's bringing his orchestra with him. He doesn't always do that. He'll sometimes just play by himself, and, he plays the music on like a recorded thing.
Oh, wow.
But if he brings his orchestra, it's like a 10-piece orchestra.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah,
It's quite a thing.
it would be a great night out.
All right, so I think we have 2 action items since we missed the last one. There's Seth.
Motion to approve Scott Yankee to the Personnel Board for a term to end May 31st, 2023.
Second.
All right, and under further discussion and full disclosure, I did approach him when Heidi Crockta left. He has a robust background in HR. He's a certified employee benefits specialist, an enrolled actuary, associate of the Society of Actuaries. So I just thought, when that spot opened up, we love to get new volunteers on boards. So I think he'll be a great addition as well. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. And just the minutes.
Motion to approve the July 20th, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great. Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.